So this is your spoiler warning for Logan. Where the hell did my pen go? There it is.
About 23 minutes.
22, asshole.
Should make that the new spoiler warning for insiders only. Where the hell did my pen go?
If you don't listen to every episode, you don't know you're about to get spoiled. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reward the listeners that care.
Which is us. No, not even us, because you guys don't even listen. It's me. Hello and welcome to another episode of Bry Guy and his Super Friends, where we know the real reason Professor X lost his mind is because even he couldn't figure out how the X-Men movie timeline works. I'm your host, Brian Labick. Joining me for this week is Andy Stolz.
Snicket.
And Mike Bradley.
Hello.
Who suddenly developed an accent. And
He says snicket, nobody says anything. I do an accent, somebody has a problem.
And we've got Ian Leidig back.
I am the Moon Star!
I don't know where you get these from. Did you take time to think of that ahead of time and write it down so you were ready for that one?
I just got that like 10 seconds ago.
Okay.
I'm ready. I'm here.
Good deal. Alright, so as I've been doing the last few weeks, I do want to remind everyone that we are steadily approaching 100th episode. So my idea for that is to hopefully get some fan interaction for anybody that wants to chime in the form of like topic suggestions, questions you guys may have for us. So if there's anything you want us to talk about, anything you want to ask us, hit us up and we'll see if we can work it in the show. So you can get in touch with us either on the Facebook page, which is probably the most prevalent way to do it. That's probably where we're the most active. But we also now have an email address at bryguysuperfriends@gmail.com, or you can tweet us at bgsuperfriends on Twitter. Any of that stuff works. So keep that in mind over the next month or two. And you can send us stuff. We'll see if we can make it happen. Otherwise, you'll be stuck with whatever the hell we decide to talk about, and that'll be it. But for
Hashtag Kong is king. Sorry.
Fuck King Kong.
Oh, they got a lot of
Fuck
fucking
King Kong.
They got a lot of fuck King Kongs in last week too, which was a video game episode. So it's really odd to hear them talk about King Kong out of nowhere. But I think it's in there.
It's going to be called the 3 Years' War someday.
For what, King Kong?
Yeah, for us.
Oh, just gonna continue.
This is our life now,
Until this movie comes out.
That's true. I guess it is 3 years away, right? 2020 is the King Kong Godzilla movie.
Fuck King Kong.
All right. So before we get waylaid in with more King Kong Godzilla talk again, for this week's episode, we're going to talk about Fox's latest movie in the X-Men franchise, which is Logan. So Hugh Jackman has announced a while ago this is going to be his last outing as Wolverine. And then I think within the last week or so, Patrick Stewart announced this would be his last time playing Professor X. So this movie has a lot to live up to. And I know we're all anxious to talk about it, so I'm going to just come right out of the gate. We're going to throw the spoiler warning out there. So if you haven't seen Logan yet, this is your chance to pause us. You can come back to us after you've seen the movie. And if you've already seen the movie or don't mind being spoiled, you can continue listening and we'll get to all the spoilery details for you. So this is your spoiler warning for Logan.
Wee-oo, spoiler! Wee-oo, spoiler! You know, something like that.
Alright, so we are into the spoiler zone. And I think even before we get into the movie, we talked a little bit beforehand whether or not to include this before the spoilers or after the spoilers. So we decided to keep it into the spoiler zone just in case anybody, didn't want to get spoiled for this little tease that happens. But we do get a Deadpool teaser that's actually played in front of the movie. I expected it as an end credit scene, but we got it in front, almost like the last trailer you see before Logan starts. So, were you guys expecting the Deadpool teaser? Did that surprise anybody?
I thought it was coming. I thought there was going to be something that got thrown in there. I didn't know what it was going to be. I didn't know if it was going to be like a full teaser like it was, or something random.
Oh, yeah, I could have just said Deadpool coming soon, and maybe his voice in the background, but we actually got like a little bit of a scene.
Yeah, it was like almost 2 minutes, I think. And actually, yeah, if anyone, if you're still listening and you haven't seen it and you want to watch it, this is actually out on YouTube. You can see it out there. I think it's under Ryan Reynolds' YouTube page.
Correctamundo.
I know I put it up on the Facebook page, so you can probably browse through our Facebook page too and find it. Either one of those ways works. So yeah, if you haven't watched it or you want to watch it again, that's probably a good place to go. So yeah, what do you guys think of the teaser anyway? We don't get a lot, but
we got a lot of ass, and I really appreciated that.
I mean, it was vintage Deadpool. It really did have that feel of something Deadpool might do in the comics. And like as soon as I seen somebody walking in the hoodie, it was kind of like, oh, it's going to be Deadpool, sweet. But when he drops the mic or the headphones out, it was just like, yes. What asinine thing is he going to have to say about Wolverine in this one? And it didn't disappoint.
Yeah. I didn't catch it until I watched it on YouTube, but I think, Mike, you even pointed it out to me too, but what the phone booth says on the side?
Oh, yeah, Nathan Summers is coming.
Yeah.
But I think it was Cumming.
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh, yes, it was.
Nathan Summers coming soon. So, more confirmation we're getting Cable in this next Deadpool movie, which he still hasn't been cast yet, so we gotta wait and see when the hell they're gonna figure that out.
It's a hard casting.
Did you guys see the movie posters behind Deadpool?
Firefly?
I saw Firefly.
Firefly, yeah.
Where did they find those? That's what I want to know. Like, who still has Firefly posters?
Is that their hint that they're going to take Nathan Fillion?
As what, Cable?
Yeah.
I mean, I could be. I haven't heard his name pop up in any type of rumors in the running for Cable, though. He'd
probably be a pretty good Cable.
That's kind of why I was saying, like, he might not be bad.
I'd put it more to the point of, like, since it's a Fox property, that Fox is probably trying to say, hey, we're totally up for a Firefly revival. Which I think they've even come out and said they would do it if Joss Whedon wants to do it.
How would that even work? They ended the show.
Because they canceled it.
No, but like with the movie, though. Like, was the end of what the show would have been.
I'm sure they got story. Like, there's enough in that universe to play with. That would just be
the
they can season
pop a prequel out.
Yeah, that would just, or even like that would have been like the season 1 arc or something. I'm sure they could have planned something out for all their seasons.
At this point, you would just make a new sci-fi show that's like in space. Like, you don't have to just do Firefly. Like, it's dead, guys. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people think. But then there's the other side that they're still hopelessly waiting that show's going to come back.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things where they, like you said, they could write a whole new story arc to it and go with it. I don't know. Maybe they will. Maybe that's what they're teasing.
It's just a thought. I have no concrete evidence to that. It's just a thought. It's all under Fox's roof, so that if they wanted to, they could.
Or maybe it's Deadpool trolling Fox.
That could be too. That's actually probably more likely.
So, was that guy that died Uncle Ben?
The actor, or?
Well, I don't mean like literally.
No, it wasn't the actor, but he's saying like, was that Uncle Ben getting mugged? Deadpool not saving him. That would be hilarious if it was, but they couldn't ever actually confirm that since the properties aren't together. But
yeah, that would be a fun Easter egg. I didn't really connect the dots for that one, but that would be actually pretty. That would make it funnier if it was someone of importance in the Marvel universe that Deadpool just let die.
I thought it was also weird because it seems like the YouTube version has more to it, and I didn't understand why that wasn't in the movie theater one.
Yeah, because
what does it have more to it?
Stan Lee was cut out of the cameo. Yeah, they cut him out of the theater one. I don't know why.
He has more dialogue at the end too. But...
It's like a 2-second clip with Stan Lee that they decided not to put in the theater.
And it's great. It's like his best cameo ever.
I don't know. Tony Stank is a pretty good one.
I think Stan Lee would argue that his favorite one was being in the strip club.
For the first Deadpool.
Yeah. I was actually a little surprised that they got the rights to the Superman theme.
Yeah, that could be something that is just out there and you can't really do much about because it's
I mean, you'd think
so
it's
prevalent,
owned by
or they could alter
Warner Brothers in DC, and yet it's used in a Fox Marvel property.
But I mean, it's one of those things where they have like guys that just try and really recreate the sounds of that kind of stuff. So it could have just been something that was really close. I mean, I don't have it memorized by heart,
So change like two notes and they get away with
something like that. Yeah.
I mean,
that's what I was going to say, is change a couple notes and go with it.
I mean, Deadpool made fun of Green Lantern too in the first one.
But that's all in-house.
Do that.
That's all like under Warner Brothers and DC. That's the same property. This is like competing companies. So if like even
no, he's saying when Deadpool was making fun of Deadpool, he made fun of Green Lantern.
Yeah, but they didn't like show Green Lantern or something. That's a little different, I think. Did they?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. It was like a baseball card in his wallet or whatever in the beginning.
Yeah, during the opening credits.
Yeah, but I don't know. I still feel like that's like they get away with that since it's all owned by the same company.
Is it?
Green Lantern?
DC.
Yeah,
Green Lantern's
Lantern.
No. Yeah, I'm totally fucked up. I apologize.
Yeah, I don't know. I was gonna say, what are you?
I'm all stuck on the Superman DC side. I keep forgetting we're talking about Marvel.
Yeah, Green Lantern is DC.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, I'm on the same page now.
Okay.
The host lost his mind for a minute there. Yeah, I don't know. There's not too much again in the teaser trailer other than like, hey, Deadpool 2's happening.
Yeah, who saw that coming?
Yeah, really.
It didn't even really say Deadpool 2. It just said Deadpool, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that mean
maybe they'll just use the same name?
Does that mean that there's still a working title coming?
Probably. I don't know if they'll call it Deadpool 2 or Deadpool and Cable or something like that.
Yeah, it could go that way.
Deadpoolio.
Well, they could have that whole argument happen between Cable and Deadpool, whether it's Cable and Deadpool or Deadpool and Cable, because that did get switched. The original comics were Cable and Deadpool, and then not long before the movie came out, they re-released the graphic novels under Deadpool and Cable.
Well,
they swapped it, and they could have that whole argument go. That would be an interesting fourth wall break.
Yeah,
that might be our first trailer.
Yeah, whoever's cast as Cable, they just have that argument in the trailer.
Yeah, that would be great. Are you listening, Fox? We wrote your first trailer for you already. Just do it.
All right. Anything else for the Deadpool teaser? Because I think obviously the meat of the show is going to be in Logan, so we got to get to Logan here.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the part where he was getting changed in the telephone booth was pretty damn funny. But as soon as he like laid down on the dead guy, I was kind of like, yeah, I'm not really laughing anymore.
You gotta have thick skin to laugh at everything Deadpool does.
Yeah, it's not for the easily offended.
No, never.
All right, so we're gonna get into Logan now. I think it's a good time to start getting into the meat of this one.
Sure?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
All right, so anything you guys want to start with? I mean, I have my list of questions. I'll see what we hit just over the course of a discussion, but wherever you want to start.
Far and away the best Wolverine movie they've made, and it's not even close. This one actually felt like a good movie all around to me.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like the other ones, like, well, the first one just felt like crap all around from the start to the finish.
Origins Wolverine?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a pile of shit.
Yeah. The second one felt good until we got Hulkbuster Silver Samurai.
Yeah.
To me, that screams studio interference.
Yeah, it definitely does. But, I mean, the other thing is, like, Viper, I don't know how good a villain she was for the second one or anything, because, I don't know, it was just kind of strange. But this one felt very grounded compared to what they tried to do before, and it hits you in the feels, you know? It really does.
Yeah.
It like, throughout the whole thing, it kind of has a much more emotional tone to it throughout the entire movie.
Anybody else want to chime in? Andy, Ian?
I love the visceral nature of the way they did Wolverine. This is the first one that actually had him severing limbs and, you know, braining people with his claws. I was hoping that they would do it, and I was a little taken aback that they actually did, because I didn't think they would have the nuts to do it. They did it. I was pretty surprised. I just it's a pity that they waited until Hugh Jackman's last movie to do it, because I really would have liked to have seen more of that.
Yeah, they definitely put everything they had in this one.
Yeah.
Not quite. The one thing they still did not give us with Wolverine and Hugh Jackman was the actual Wolverine suit.
Oh, that's true.
We did not get that. That was the one thing I was hoping would make a flashback, some sort of ridiculous appearance. I thought it would be great. But getting to see adamantium meet flesh for real, that was definitely awesome.
Yeah. Ian? Anything?
Well, I think what they're saying about the claws got me, just, like, makes you realize how unsettling it is to actually slice through someone with, like, metal claws. Like, it's not like other stuff. It's really, like, fucking weird and gross and stuff. Like, it's fucking weird as shit to, like, see it actually happening for once. Like, you can't get that, like, in a comic book. You can't, like, feel it like that. And for them to actually go out and do it, it just really makes you realize how depressing it has to be Wolverine to be doing that to people day in, day out.
Not to mention, like, how good a thing it has been throughout his entire run as Wolverine that he has a healing factor with all that random blood that gets sucked back into him on the claws.
Yeah.
You know, if he didn't have a healing factor, how many diseases would he have?
Oh, that's true.
Like,
it's very unsanitary.
Yeah, I mean, I think we get that first look at it is like what those claws would be like if his healing factor wasn't up to snuff with the pus growing out of it and everything. Like, you know, it's something that they don't ever really touch on much in the comics or other movies, is that every time he pops his claws, he actually bursts his own skin to pop the claws. You know, it's not just pulling them out is probably painful for him. Having them out is probably painful.
Like they established that in the first X-Men movie. Like Rogue even asks him, "Does it hurt?" And he says every time.
But I think that's something they did really well with this, is just show how much pain he's just been in.
Yeah.
Like how hard it is to be Logan.
He's been through some shit.
Like everyone around you is gonna die because you're basically immortal.
Yeah.
Your only way to like fight your superpower is to rend the flesh off of other people. Fucking heavy, and they did a really good job of conveying that finally.
Yeah, I did like how the opening of this movie definitely just sets the stage. Like, you are not watching what you've come to expect from an X-Men or Wolverine movie. As soon as those 4 Mexican guys try to jack his ride and he starts slicing them up, you're like, well, this is definitely not what I expected.
No. Yeah, I expected like Professor X or something to be in the trunk, because he's like, don't hit the car.
Yeah.
I mean, and they also touched a little bit on like the actual Old Man Logan comic in that, where he tries not to pop his claws and fight them off with them at first. Because, I mean, in the comic, that was kind of a big deal, is he didn't want to use his claws anymore. And, you know, they have to beat him mercilessly and get told by him to leave me alone, blah blah blah, and all that, before he actually decides, okay, fuck these guys, and I'm gonna, he tries to like ration out with them first, like telling them like, oh, they're chrome plated lug nuts, you're not gonna get them off that way. See,
I didn't really interpret it
that whole spiel.
Interpret it that he didn't want to pop the claws. I interpreted it that he just almost physically can't anymore.
Yeah, they went to that part too, with him pulling it out.
Yeah, because when he
pulls the one all the way out.
Yeah, because the one didn't come out all the way, and he had to literally yank it out later, so it fully extended.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think of Hugh Jackman's last time playing Wolverine?
He did a great job, as always. There's a video he tweeted out recently of him ADRing the lions. Of like the fight scenes, like running through, going her, and then doing the claw shit, and it was really good to see him just like throwing his fist around and shit for that. And all the other stuff he did a really good job in this of just showing his actual emotion in this, and not just trying to be the cool Canadian dude.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought specifically his performance as X-24 was really badass.
Oh,
he just looked so frightening and menacing as X-24. I don't know what he did differently, but you could see it in his eyes that he was just there to fuck shit up.
Yeah, it's amazing. They just like shave his head, trim his beard, and make sort of like de-age him. Like he doesn't look makeup wise that he's really really old.
And he had like a
Right.
perma scowl. I mean, Logan always has kind of a scowl, but like X-24 just looked like do not.
He looked evil.
Yeah, immediately looked evil. Yeah.
Yeah, you knew that was not something to be fucked with. That was just pure primal rage, is what that was.
Yeah.
That's a Wolverine thing. Yeah. And speaking of X-24, I was actually somewhat disappointed that it was X-24 and not Dakin.
Yeah.
That it was they could have just went that route, and Dakin is still technically his son / clone, whatever you want to call it, and just have it be a different actor that they created and have him have Dakin's claws and all that. That would have been interesting.
See, I think the reason it was like the X-24, like the younger version of Wolverine, is the whole movie is like him struggling with himself and what they wanted him to be and trying to fight against what they made him. So he literally faces off against what they wanted him to be. So it works thematically in the movie. Because even like...
Oh, I agree.
I know we were talking about Dakin before, so when he first, the other set of claws come out, and then you're like, that's immediately what I thought of. Oh, that's gotta be him. And then they just classified it as X-24, and that was pretty much it. Part of me was even thinking, too, it would have even worked, too, if they had Sabretooth come back for that.
That's what I thought it was going to be when, like, the guy went up to Charles. I totally thought it was going to be Sabretooth.
Yeah. I thought, just because, I feel like you needed to have some sort of, like Wolverine's nemesis or some other type of really big villain for him to show up.
I think that's what really helped this movie, though, is they didn't, like, force in, like, any unnecessary villains. You got what you needed, and it just worked. It wasn't overly complicated, like, why they're there. You got it.
Because when they tried to bring other well-known X-Men villains and characters into a movie for Wolverine, we got X-Men Origins Wolverine, which was flooded with characters that had no business being there.
Yeah, I mean, and for all the flack that movie gets about how bad Deadpool was, it does not get enough flack about how bad the Blob was.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't... I mean...
Even remember the Blob in that movie.
Oh, be thankful.
The only one I thought they kind of got right in that movie was Gambit. I actually did enjoy Taylor Kirsch's Gambit.
I mean, for the very small amount you see him, they actually did seem like they got him right. But it was, 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was not enough Gambit, and there was too much Blob and fake Deadpool.
Yeah.
But I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, that was the whole thing with the Deadpool. Is Deadpool went south for them as soon as they decided to turn it into a friggin' experiment with a sword that comes out of his arm and laser eyes, and that's where it went wrong. Ryan Reynolds killed it as Wade Wilson before that.
Oh yeah.
So they didn't go that route in this movie, and I feel like they made the right choice without trying to bring in another villain. That being said, I feel like they could have had the same thematic elements that you were talking about had it been Dakin and just looked exactly like Wolverine. They could have just had it be cast as Wolverine, same exact thing, just put one of the claws underneath his arm instead of 3 on top.
Yeah.
And you get the same effect in the movie, but people get to see Dakin.
I think
just a younger version of Wolverine.
What's sad is they really just wanted it to be Logan again. Like, that's why he's, like, telling Charles it wasn't him that killed him and stuff. I think that's what they really wanted from that, though, was to be like, that's what he would have been. I think that's why they did it. They really wanted that moment.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think of the newbie, X-23? I can't think of the actress's name now. I didn't look her up. I think it's like Daphne something.
Yeah, it was her first movie, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Didn't it say introducing blah blah blah, whatever her name was?
Laura.
Well, that's her
real name.
Character.
That's her slave name.
Yeah. What I will say about the character X-23 in this movie, Laura Kinney, or whatever you want to call her, I thought it was awesome that she kicked more ass than Wolverine did.
I would say it was even.
I just felt like if she did all of her stunts, I am thoroughly impressed with that little girl.
Yeah.
Because it was more intricate what they had to do with her. Like, yeah, Wolverine cut a bunch of dudes up, but hers was actual, like, acrobatic ninja shit that they had her doing.
Sure.
So if she actually did that, I don't know. I'd have to look up and find out if she did or not. But if she actually did, holy crap, that girl's awesome. Even if she didn't, she did a great job as the character. But the fight scenes were incredible with her.
Yeah.
I think the actress did a really good job. I mean, she did get a little annoying with like some of the talking when Wolverine told her to shut the fuck up. I mean, I think that was kind of the point, though. So,
I mean, I think she did an incredible job for not speaking in the movie for so long.
Oh yeah, half the movie she's mute and she's just conveying with screams and stares.
Mm-hmm.
And she did a phenomenal job. And even, once she finally starts talking, too, like, even all the Spanish she's rattling off, I was like, holy shit.
Well, I imagine the actress probably speaks Spanish natively, I would guess.
Yeah. Still, it was a different turn, I guess, for her character that I wasn't really expecting. Kind of caught me off guard.
I like that they didn't subtitle it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They didn't need to. I mean, that was the important thing about it, is you didn't need a subtitle to know what she was saying. Like, they framed the movie well enough that you knew what she was trying to get across without being able to speak Spanish.
So, go ahead, Andy.
No, go ahead, Ian.
Well, that's something I think they did really well with the movie, is not have to explain stuff. Like, we hear about the whole Westchester incident over, like, a grainy radio report.
Yeah.
And that was enough for me. I was like, okay, I understand that. I get that. They didn't have to, like, beat me over the head with it. Like, there was really subtle storytelling in here that treated the audience with respect, and I really liked that.
So we're led to believe that Professor X killed basically all the X-Men, or at least the ones at the mansion?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is an interesting inverse from the comic, because in the comic it's actually Mastermind tricks Logan into doing it, and he sees himself killing a bunch of actual villains and enemies when he's actually killing his friends in the X-Men. So it was I felt like that was an interesting turn, having it be Professor X that did it.
Yeah.
Which, another great turn for the movie is what happens when Professor X gets Alzheimer's. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Like...
Has that ever been explored in the comics? Because I feel like that was new to me. I'd never seen something like that before.
I don't recall it. And I've read damn near every X-Men comic there is, and I don't recall ever having experienced that.
Yeah. Yeah, you never... Yeah, because they basically classify him as like a WMD, right? Doesn't somebody... that I think Donald Pierce calls him that.
So I have a question about X-23.
Go for it.
So when they put the adamantium in her, she's, 10 years old or so?
Yeah,
sure.
Something like
that.
How
does she grow, and does the adamantium grow with her bones? I don't understand.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think her bones are coated. I think they just gave her claws.
Yeah. I don't think she's indestructible in this version of her. The comic version is like Wolverine indestructible, but I don't think they went that route for the movie.
Because I think you're right. Like her small body, like if it's coated in adamantium, the bones won't grow as she grows older. So I think they only gave her the claws, and that's it.
But they had her whole, like her legs open and stuff too. I thought they gave her adamantium. I thought that was the scene with her and all of her limbs.
Actually.
I mean, unless that's how they get the foot claws down there, I don't know.
I mean, it's either that or it's just weird genetics thing.
Foot claw, was it? I thought it was just a boot claw, or like a boot knife.
I mean, her character, she has claws that come out of her foot. She has one single claw that comes out of each foot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why Xavier mentioned like the female lions having the back claws.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, so like she would have bone claws that come out of her feet if they didn't coat her in adamantium. Yeah, I mean, like in the comics, if they didn't give her the adamantium, they don't add the whole mechanism. It's, she would have a bone claw.
I mean, yeah, Andy, you might be right that they cut up in her legs and stuff, so maybe I'm just interpreting different, but I have the same sort of assumption you do, that if she is coated in adamantium, she won't be able to grow very well. So I just assumed that they didn't give that all to her.
Or if she does grow, like this part of her bone, like half of her forearm would be adamantium, and like the other third of it wouldn't,
Yeah.
You would think the adamantium would prevent her from growing, though. Like, I agree with that. Like, you would think that being encased in it, the bone wouldn't be strong enough to break adamantium.
Right, but she's got healing powers, so maybe the bone would be strong enough, because it would just... I don't know. I don't know how that would work.
I think we're going down an unnecessary rabbit hole here.
Yeah.
Yes. My actual conjecture on this is the people that made the movie in that scene did not consider that as a possibility.
Okay.
They didn't. I don't think they thought of that. Because in the comics, when they do it to her, she's a young adult in the comics when they do it to her. Yeah, I mean, she's like 17, 18, 19, something like that.
I think it's just one of those things where they won't need to bring it up, they don't think, so they didn't feel the need to explain it.
Like most X-Men movies?
Yeah, but this isn't as
assholes like
egregious
us.
Stuff.
Yeah, I got you.
Like this one, I don't think you're going to think about it too much if they have her in another movie and she's taller.
I would agree with that.
So what did you think about this version of Professor X? I think Andy, was the one really pushing for he's a hallucination, which I was totally on board for until we saw the movie and you realize he is not a hallucination. He's actually there.
He's not. It was a good theory.
It was. I enjoyed that theory. But yeah, are you disappointed that he's not a hallucination?
No.
So it worked for you?
I thought what's his name did an excellent job again. I don't think he can really.
Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, I don't think he can really not nail Professor X because he essentially is Professor X.
Yeah.
But
he was born to play that character.
Yeah. It was cool to see Professor X kind of not be so serious. Because
he was hilarious at points.
Yeah.
I would say Patrick Stewart did a great job playing the crazy old man with Alzheimer's in different points when he's chasing him around in the chair and whatnot. That was great.
Yeah, it's definitely No, go ahead.
I was just saying it added humility a little bit to a movie that didn't have much. It had a couple chuckles, but it still had that heavy tone to most of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So a chuckle here and there at a crazy old man, even though it's kind of dark to be laughing at an old man with Alzheimer's, was necessary at points.
Well, it's such a polar opposite from what we remember seeing Professor X or what we've seen him in past movies. Like it was really unexpected to see him have that kind of turn for him. Gave him a different side of Professor X to play, one that I wasn't expecting to see, and one that I think I enjoyed a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly was very surprised when we got a lucid Professor X dropping an F-bomb.
Yeah.
Like, that was like, whoa, I didn't see that coming, because that's way out of character for Professor X. He's very, prim and proper about the way he speaks most of the time, and...
Well, I guess James McAvoy has a little bit more fun with Professor X. Like, he seems a little bit more lenient and is able to do a little bit more with the character. So I think they finally gave that to Patrick Stewart and sort of just let him run with it, maybe.
True. I mean, and McAvoy's played a much younger version that you never really see a lot of in the comics.
Right.
So you don't, so they have more leeway with what he was like when he was a drunk for a period, you know.
Ian, you got anything on Professor X?
I'd like him because he was out of our main three characters the only one that wasn't outwardly showing how broken he is as a person, not because he's got Alzheimer's, but he wasn't depressed and pissed off at the world the whole time. But then when he's in the bed talking about Westchester, you can see even he is now broken.
Yeah.
Just like everyone else in this film. I really enjoyed that, I guess, in this, showing us that no matter how big and strong our heroes are, they're always going to hit that point where they're just not super anymore.
Yeah.
Good way to phrase that. Were you guys surprised when, spinning off from what Ian was talking about, Professor X sort of confessing on the bed, were you guys surprised that was when he went and how he went?
Yes, very surprised.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they gave that a good shock moment for he's dead. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I kept thinking that it was a dream.
Yeah.
That Professor X was having. That Wolverine was going to kill him. I'm like, what? I don't understand. And then I'm like, holy shit, this is actually happening. Okay.
Yeah, it took a little bit, even for
me
to
catch up a little bit.
Yeah, it took a couple minutes for it to finally sink in. It's like, no, this is actually happening. He did just get stabbed through the chest. He is bleeding out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say we all expected Professor X to die. I think that was...
I'd like to go back to our trailer podcasts, because I think we had predictions on who would survive the movie.
Yeah, I didn't actually go back and listen to that one. I probably should have.
Damn you.
Should have wrote them down when we made them.
Yeah, I'm not that good at my notes.
I think I predicted that Professor X was a figment, so he didn't even exist and was already dead. But I think I predicted that Logan died at the end, too.
That sounds right.
I can't remember. Because at the end of that podcast, I believe we all went around and said who survived.
I think we each picked one or the other. I don't think we each picked both.
No.
So I don't think any of us were right all around.
No. And what I will say about the end of the movie and you saying Logan dead, one, this is Wolverine. He's never dead.
Did you notice how he kept waking up throughout the film? Like it was a dream the whole time? He just kept waking up like 12 different times during the movie?
I felt like that was from fatigue.
I'm just saying, he kept waking up like this wasn't really happening.
It could be.
Like
I mean, but to me, like, you can destroy Wolverine as many times as you want, and he just keeps coming back. I mean, I don't know. It would be interesting to see whether or not they go that route because they'll recast Wolverine someday. You know, they're not going to make every X-Men movie from now until forever without Wolverine. Unless there's a reboot entirely of the franchise, it would be interesting to see if they have him come back as a different character or a different actor and explain some way that, you know, it took 6 years for him to regenerate after having died.
And he looks different now because worms.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're saying if they sort of try to keep somewhat of this continuity, because even though it's all fucked up as it is, but somewhat of this X-Men franchise continuity, and they recast Wolverine, you're going to consider that as him coming back from the dead, essentially?
If they keep the continuity, yeah, they have to.
Okay.
But what if it just takes place in the past?
Well, that's different.
Okay.
In the past, I mean, if you're in the past, you're in the past.
Because I'm with you. I think they are definitely going to recast Wolverine. They're not going to let this character just sit there and have nothing to do with them. But I definitely think they're probably going to wait a little while before they finally recast him, and by then they might be ready to reboot the entire thing. So or
maybe Marvel will finally have control.
Yeah, that'll never happen. At the rate they're pumping out X-Men movies, there's no way.
No.
But
not for a long time. People have to stop going.
Yeah.
And they're making a turn for a better type of movie with Logan, so I don't see that happening.
Because they're talking about getting another X-Men movie proper, like probably a fourth one with like James McAvoy and Jennifer Lawrence and all them guys. They're still talking about something like that. They're talking about an X Factor movie. We're gonna get Deadpool. I don't know whether they're gonna spin off to like another Deadpool like sequel, or I've heard that they're gonna put Deadpool and Cable into X Factor. They've been rumored to have a New Mutants movie coming around sometime, so that's at least 3 other movies that they're looking to come down the pipeline.
Well, that's what I was going to hit you with, is you got your preview of New Mutants in this movie. Those kids are going to be the New Mutants.
They did mention, Professor X said, we have a new mutant. He even said it. So.
See, I thought I was reading stuff online that a lot of those kids, at least based on their powers and names, that they go into X-Force.
Yes, the New Mutants also create X-Force. The New Mutants series ends with number 100. Cable is introduced in New Mutants 87, Deadpool in 98, and then that series turned into X-Force.
Oh, okay.
So but they cut a lot of the characters that were in New Mutants when they started X-Force.
Gotcha, okay.
And believe it or not, it's also a stem from X Factor. Some of the characters introduced in the original New Mutants series were characters that Cyclops took on at the school in X Factor.
Okay, so it all comes back around then.
Yeah. Yeah, there is continuity they could follow there, but as soon as they said the one kid's name, or I think I seen it on the list of names, or she was saying the names or something like that, but as soon as I seen Richter, I said, we're getting New Mutants. Because there's other ones there that have abilities similar, but Richter is one of the heavy hitters for the New Mutants and X-Force early on. And you've seen his powers. they did a pretty awesome job of showing what he can do.
That was
at the end of the movie.
The Earth moving guy.
Yeah, he basically has like earthquake powers. He can, crack the crust and do what he wants, kind of thing. Seismic powers. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for.
All right, so I guess we were sort of surprised that they killed. Well, not surprised, but maybe surprised how they did it. Killed Professor X. Were you guys surprised that they killed Wolverine? Or were you expecting Wolverine to die at the end of this one?
I feel like since we knew it was Hugh Jackman's last one, we were expecting it.
Okay. I didn't know if they'd let him just ride off into the sunset for the eventual, like if he ever changed his mind to come back, that they'd leave it open for that.
Speaking of riding off into the sunset, this movie really did feel like an old Western.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. I mean, the thing I'll say with riding off into the sunset is the only way Wolverine rides off into the sunset is death.
I mean, if they were going to let him live,
death.
I figured they'd just send him off with the kids, and he could just sort of be looking after the kids the entire. Like that's how his happily ever after type goes.
Yeah, but then that sends us down the path of we need a new story. Then what happens with him and the kids? There's something along those lines. Wolverine requires finality because of the fact that he essentially can't die. So you have to find a way for him to die. And I think that's what they were trying to do with this. Is I don't think the one thing that I didn't feel like got as much explanation as I wanted is to why his powers waned.
Well, I thought they did explain it.
Did I miss that?
I think it's a combination of the adamantium and just old age.
The adamantium is poison.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. The poison in the adamantium is slowly doing that, but that still causes issues for me on a level of his body can fight off any poison there is, his mutant power. But I guess with slowing down with age, okay.
Plus, his body is the poison. It's not like it would go away eventually. He's always going to have the adamantium. It's like a
but I mean,
fight.
but I mean that's the same thing with Deadpool's healing power, and him and Wolverine are very similar. Even though Deadpool heals faster and is able to heal from much worse things, evidently.
Yeah, but as far as the movie universe is concerned, we're led to believe Wolverine's been around a lot longer.
Yes.
So the adamantium thing has been a problem for 40 years?
I'm not sure what it is in the movie universe, something along those lines.
Well, according to Apocalypse, he got the
60s.
adamantium in the 80s.
Okay, so 30-odd years then. So that was
No, more like 50
84?
because it was 2029, right, in the movie?
Yeah.
They did say the
Oh,
date.
that's right. We're jumping forward in the movie. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah,
So closer to
50-ish years.
Okay, so as he's getting older, his healing power slows down and can't keep up with the poison anymore.
Right.
Okay.
That's their justification.
I can buy that.
Plus, I think they pointed out he didn't want help. So, he didn't go out of his way to try and prevent this from happening. He wanted it to die.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he could have just sought out Magneto to remove the adamantium from his skeleton.
Yeah.
Or worked with someone just
because-
to, because he had that, juice thing, to help him heal for the final battle, a version of that or something. Just, make him, better over time with medicine.
Yeah.
Pharmaceutical industry was on fire in this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know about
Well-
you guys, but I was pretty shocked to see Caliban.
Again, yeah, a second appearance for Caliban was kind of cool.
Yeah, I love how they never really established that he was in X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah.
They just completely ignored that fact.
Well, the other thing I was hoping for / expecting at some point to happen, because it was a Fox Wolverine movie, was that Caliban was going to go full monster version of Caliban. If you don't recall, Caliban, when he becomes a Horseman of Apocalypse, is turned into a crazy monster sort of thing, where all he can do is just track mutants and want to kill them.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that.
And yeah, he turns into... It's a pretty cool looking monster, honestly. I was hoping to see it at the same time as I was hoping they didn't do it.
You talking about in this
Just because
movie or X-Men Apocalypse?
in either or. I was hoping it didn't happen because it would just cheese up the movie a lot.
Oh yeah.
Like there's no way to do his monster version and not have it cheese up the movie.
I still feel like that could have fit in X-Men Apocalypse because that movie's pretty cheesy, but here it wouldn't have worked.
True. Yeah, like honestly, when they showed up and he was there with Psylocke and they like qualified him as Caliban in that movie, I was like, holy crap, they're gonna have Caliban be one of the Horsemen. And then it was like, no, they're not. We're not gonna get to see that. That's fine. I'm not getting into my problems with Apocalypse right now, but yeah, let's.
What else do I got here? I think we sort of talked about it on one of the trailers, but its final use in the movie. What did you think of the use of the X-Men comics? Did you like the way it was used? Too fourth wall breaky for you, or
I thought it was weird just because if I remember correctly, it looked like they were really older issues, like 40 and 50 cents. I think was like the price.
Yeah,
and that's where it threw me through the loop. I was like, I get okay. They made X-Men comics in the X-Men universe, but they've been making them just as long as like we made them. Like as it happened, we made them. You know?
Yeah, I don't know when they. Because, the continuity for these X-Men movies is so fucked up. You don't know when the X-Men became public. Or you don't even know what timeline Logan follows. Is it the end of, like, the happy ending of Days of Future Past? Is it the earlier...
Very happy ending.
Alright, so it's they save the day and then, all the shit goes down after that?
Then everyone dies.
Yeah, 10 years later, Professor X kills them all anyway, so that totally negates the ending of Days of Future Past. Yeah, I don't know, when, if they became public in the 70s, like, they would have, for the past timeline of Days of Future Past, then suddenly the X-Men could be a thing. Well, no, because it wasn't even, like, a team then. Right? Like, Magneto was public enemy number 1, but they didn't really have the X-Men as something that was happening.
So this is why the comics don't work in the film.
Yeah, well, I mean, I kind of like, I like the way they use them. More of like the X-Men are sort of mythology and people are writing stories about them, and the twist of like Eden was not an actual place but it just coordinates they grabbed from the comic book. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was an interesting little twist to it.
Because I was expecting it there like not to be anything at those coordinates, and it's just going to be like, well, fuck, what do we do now?
So were we led to believe that Wolverine had been there and checked it out already? Because he kept saying, "There's nothing there. There's nothing there."
No, I think
nothing there.
He realized where they got the coordinates from, which was from a comic book, and he's interpreting it as they saw that as like that's the safe place to go because it's in a comic book.
But he was saying that there's nothing at Eden before he noticed that the coordinates were in the comic book.
I mean, if he was saying that, then I'm guessing he's just that much of a pessimist. But I think like the way it worked is like the Gabriella lady, I think, had that comic book for maybe circulating between all the kids, and they just use that as like, okay, wherever these coordinates lead, longitude and latitude, we're gonna say that's where we're gonna escape to. Like that's their meetup point, and that's how they disguised it. Was they passed around a comic book saying this is where we're gonna go. So when they all got out, they just went there.
I feel like that's what they did, yes.
So that's why I feel like it worked for me. I like that hidden sort of code for them. And I guess like I was curious if that was actually a real comic book or not, but I guess they made that for the movie.
Yeah, it wasn't an actual one.
Yeah, because in the comic, in the movie, it showed Wolverine dropping Rogue, and you can't drop Rogue in the comics because he can fly.
Touche.
There you go. I sent you an image there of what Caliban actually looks like in his primal form.
That would have worked in X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
That's no more worse than what Apocalypse looked like.
So let's, what else do I have to ask?
Well, he kind of looks like Wendigo.
Oh, I could see that, yeah.
A little bit.
What death do you think was more impactful for you? Professor X or Wolverine?
Charles.
Wolverine.
I want to say it was I'm gonna say it was actually Professor X because I saw what it did to Logan. That's the first time you actually saw any kind of regret or emotion out of him.
Yeah.
So I thought that was more impactful to me, to see Logan getting that upset noticeably.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think whenever it happened, it was very shocking and surprising. And then immediately when Logan finally got up there and his plea of, Charles, it wasn't me, because he didn't want him to die thinking Logan just turned on him and killed him basically in his sleep. Like, that hit home pretty hard for me.
See, I want to say Wolverine myself simply because the little girl cries, and a 10-year-old girl crying, there's not much sadder things in the world than a 10-year-old girl having to deal with so much loss in her life. She loses the nurse lady that saves her life from the facility that they're at, and then she forms an attachment to Logan, and she has to watch him gradually just die and basically end up dying to save all their lives. And I don't know, it just, that hit me more than Professor X did.
I mean, at the same time, I don't want to take away anything from Logan's death scene, because that was pretty painful to watch too. Especially like the way you're describing it, and like Laura's finally calling him dad in that scene, and that was like, come on. And then his couple last words to her, like he said, like, don't beat what they made you, I think was one of the things.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was pretty heavy too. So yeah, I mean they both did it, but for me I think Professor X's death just a little bit more for me. What else do I got? Since Hugh Jackman's done, they've effectively killed Wolverine. We got X-23 and her friends escaping to Canada. So, would you guys like to see an X-23 spinoff? Something centered around Laura?
It depends on like when it would take place.
Like, as far as like after or like a before or a prequel or something?
Like was it 2032, 2038?
Oh, yeah.
Because I think if it takes place right after, that's just too soon for me, because then I'll just be like, we'll just bring Logan back already. Because like, yeah, you guys are bringing him back, but if they space it out more, I think that would let me like believe these characters like grown more.
Yeah.
I just don't want to see a bunch of stupid fucking kids doing a bunch of stupid fucking kid shit and learning to be like going through puberty again. Like I get it, that's what the X-Men are, but like I'm no.
You don't want the Goonies version of the X-Men.
Yes. In Canada.
Yeah, the Canadian Goonies X-Men.
Like, I don't want to get into like a real political thing, but did anybody catch the political undertones for this movie? That there is a wall along the Mexican border.
Oh yeah.
To get to safety, it's like, everybody's got to cross the border to Canada. They're running from a antagonist named Donald. Like, there's a lot of shit in there that if you really wanted to poke at it, it's there.
It's there. I won't deny that. It's definitely there. They put some undertones there for it.
And they shot this before the election, so I think that's just really funny that it all turned out this way anyway.
I mean, then you have all these like military guys chasing down children and shit.
Yeah.
Doing anything they can to prevent them from escaping. These kids who don't belong there.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be in this country.
Yeah. Yeah.
10 feet higher.
We sort of talked about eventually they're going to recast Wolverine. I don't think that's going to be a surprise to anybody. How long do you think they'll wait before they recast Wolverine?
When they reboot the franchise finally and mercifully put it out of its misery.
So you think they'll actually wait for a reboot before they recast him? They won't just recast him and throw him into a movie somewhere?
I just can't imagine they can be like, okay, let's shit up this like fucking universe we have a little more. Like, guys, you remember how convoluted Terminators was? I bet we can top that. I think they're gonna go for a hard reboot like sooner than later.
Yeah.
I agree. I think this next planned full-on X-Men movie will be the last, and all the plans they have outside of Deadpool will falter and fail. Simply because the outside plans other than Deadpool aren't going to be successful. Now, I'll tell you right now, they come out with a New Mutants movie, it's going to be a failure. They come out with an X-Factor movie, it's going to be a failure. it's not going to hit the same chords. They're saying like, oh, we got the Deadpool, and that worked as a spin-off from the X-Men, kind of, and it worked so damn well. They're gonna realize that, yeah, that's because Deadpool was outrageously popular before that movie, and they just added some weight to that train that everybody has been jumping on.
Well, I mean, Fox needs their money-making character, like the one they can put in every movie that people are going to go see. It was Wolverine. It is now Deadpool.
Yes.
But that's the thing, like, Deadpool's barely like an X-Men spin-off, because there's like no real X-Men in the movie Deadpool.
But it doesn't matter for them. It's still part of the franchise.
Compared to the rest of the universe, like...
It's in the universe. I mean, that's the thing.
It's in the universe, but it's like they could do a hard reset of the X-Men universe, and Deadpool's still doing his own little thing, is how they have it currently configured.
That's what I was getting at, is they're going to let Ryan Reynolds run as Deadpool, just continue on, and after the next one, they may end up just mucking it and rebooting. I was hoping that was coming after Apocalypse, but if they have another one planned and starting production, pre-production, whatever, perhaps we got to live through one more before we get a hard reboot and maybe get it done properly.
Yeah, I know
they've been burned through Lawrence's contract.
I know they've been talking about another one. It's yet to be titled. They're talking about Phoenix Saga type stuff in this one.
Yeah, I mean, that's another interesting thing to note, that we had talked we might get an answer on that in this, and we didn't get any whatsoever, was Mr. Sinister.
Yeah.
Did not play one part in this whatsoever.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't Essex Corp. It wasn't anything to do with him. So,
which, looking back, I think I liked that, because I think, sort of like what we were talking about before, if you start throwing in all these random, like, well-known mutants or villains, that it takes away from Wolverine's story, which is what this very much is, and it worked a lot better this way. So you almost don't want those other outside distractions kind of taking away from what they set up for him.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like, what was the real antagonist in this movie?
Pierce.
Yeah, he's probably the closest.
I was more thinking it was just time.
Oh,
sure.
That's heavy. Andy's getting deep.
I mean, Pierce was there, yeah, and he was running around trying to capture him and whatnot. And what was that other dude's name? He was like the second generation Weapon X scientist.
I don't even remember his name. He didn't last too long.
Dr. Rice.
Dr. Rice was it, yeah. But, I mean, I wouldn't say that either of them were, like, the factors of what Wolverine was really...
Yeah, it was time. It was himself. It was...
It was the boat.
A lot of deep things. Yeah, the boat.
So you're thinking we could still get, like, the New Mutants movie, the X-Force movie, and the Deadpool Cable, whatever they end up doing with that, and just leave that sort of off on its own, and then do a proper X-Men reboot franchise thing after that, or even between that?
I think they can easily do X-Force on its own without having to tie it in any more than they did with Deadpool, because if they do the proper original X-Force, none of those characters crossed over yet, other than Richter in this movie. You know, the original X-Force, you have Cable leading a team with Cannonball, Magic, Moonstar, yeah. You get Boom Boom. I'm trying to remember all of the originals, but Richter is there. Domino is there, which Copycat is actually there. The first 13 episodes, Domino is actually Copycat. Domino's been held captive, and Copycat is imitating her, which they used the character who is Copycat for Deadpool. Was his girlfriend in the movie, Vanessa.
Yeah, okay.
Vanessa Carlyle is Copycat in the comics, but they didn't show her having powers, obviously. So
yeah, okay.
I'm
just thinking,
so they could really run with it without having to tie it in.
See, I'm just thinking if they try to do X-Force or New Mutants, especially because, again, what I was reading recently was that Deadpool and Cable will be in X-Force, is that even if they do New Mutants, I don't know if just the title alone is enough to bring X-Men fans in. I feel like you need that hook for them. And like the hook would have been, let's just throw Wolverine in the movie and that'll get people to go see it. And again, the only person they have right now for that is Deadpool, so I don't know if they'd put Deadpool in that movie just because they can to help people go see it.
One of the things I'll give you is one of the very first villains that X-Force fights is Deadpool. Because Deadpool had not become a hero at that point, so one of their first story arcs is actually fighting Deadpool. I think it's in X-Force number 2.
Yeah, except that they've already sort of established in the first Deadpool movies that he's more hero than villain.
He is, but, they can turn him, put him on a heel turn. And, but even at the same time, Deadpool does not have to be a true villain to have X-Force out there striving to stop him. He's crazy enough that he could be doing something he thinks is good and still be hilarious and funny and Deadpool, when actually what he's doing could have horrible repercussions, leading to a tussle between them to stop him from doing something stupid.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, if his character could just work, he's a merc for money. It's not hard to make him the bad guy all of a sudden.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if they want to market the movie. I don't know if they'd get people to see it if Deadpool is suddenly the bad guy.
I mean, you could easily have him cheese it up with some, lines about how he's gonna, kill everyone now and stuff, and people would love that trailer.
I mean, yeah, that could be true, yeah.
Yeah, well, like I said, you also gotta remember, Deadpool wants to be a hero. That's pure Deadpool. He desires to be viewed as a hero, but he doesn't always know how to make it work and ends up doing stupid shit sometimes. So he could be doing something he thinks will make him a hero, but could actually end the world, and X-Force has to stop him.
Yeah, okay.
So he's having his moment in the sun, kind of like, the baby Groot scene where oh, I am Groot, and he's going to push that button even though he shouldn't. And that's where they end up having their conflict.
All right. Yeah, we'll have to come back and speculate probably on this after Deadpool 2, because we don't even know anything about X-Force now other than possibly Cable and Deadpool show up. So yeah, well, I'm sure we'll have more news on that at some point later. Sort of, talking about the continuation of the X-Men franchise and stuff. Instead of sort of rebooting and sort of maybe in line with what they're doing with X-Force and New Mutants if those movies happen, would you guys like to see the X-Men movies continue as sort of like a continuity-free movies? And have different directors have different takes on each movie and just not have them connect to anything? Sort of like, like the classic James Bonds used to do.
So like X-Men one-shots, basically.
Yeah, yeah. I think they're
yes.
the Fox X-Men continuity is so fucked up, and if they don't care if it matches up to anything, they should just throw it out the window and say, all right, whatever we make, it doesn't have to match up with anything.
I would love that, because that means we can get Age of Apocalypse, we can get Onslaught, we can get things that don't make sense in timelines unless they get extremely convoluted in explaining them.
Yeah, they get every movie could just
have
be
that necessity.
Could just be an event film, one of the big event crossover things from the comics. Just make that a one-shot movie with whatever characters you want to use, whether it's Deadpool or brand new versions of other characters or whatever.
I think it'd be great, but I think audiences would get confused and they'd stop after 2 of them because audiences wouldn't understand what's happening anymore.
That's fair. Yeah, the movie-going audience is now getting conditioned to watch these movies in order and have them connect in some way.
And I mean, that's just half of their marketing now is you gotta see this one because you won't fucking know what happens after this.
Yeah.
You can't just
That's very true.
It's even hard to just go see Doctor Strange or Ant-Man without seeing the other Marvel movies.
Yeah. All right, well, Ian nixed that idea for me, so thanks for that.
You're welcome.
You ruined our dreams.
Yeah. Yeah.
You and your logic.
It would be nice to see. I think Ian's right. I don't think they'll do it. I think it's too much of a risk for them, maybe, to actually try that.
Fantastic Four, though, they should definitely do it. There's nothing left. They got nothing to fucking lose.
That's true.
Andy, you got something?
It would be cool to see that, though. I mean, Star Wars did it, and they just called it Rogue One, a Star Wars story. They could call it, Onslaught, an X-Men story.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
make
But,
it a single.
I guess like Rogue One though really fits in though with the universe, like part of the
he's
timeline.
bringing it back around though. He's bringing it back around. My hopes are coming back.
What else do I got here? Oh, just generally speaking, what was a favorite scene of yours from the movie?
Fixing that water pipe, really like that. Let me know he's a real blue collar Wolverine at heart. Gets his lunch pail, just goes to work.
I mean, you got that sense from the limo driver stuff too, right?
No, that's fancy man being an Uber driver. Fuck that. Like, they got self-driving trucks, but we don't have self-driving cabs. The fuck?
There's not good enough computer systems to get into a car and tell it where you want to go.
I know, but you could like make the truck just go. And then have it run people off the road for no reason.
Yeah, it needs some side view mirrors. Anybody else?
Well,
Ian's going with the water pipe. You got anything?
I gotta go with X-23, just killing bitches. The first scene where you see her actually she's eating cereal when they come into the room. And she's just doing, she's very much like a kid, and then she's like, "You're really gonna make me kill you?"
Yeah.
Okay. So then she just goes, and I don't know how many dozen guys she just kills, carrying one of their heads out. Just rolls the head up to him, and is like, "Yeah, you don't have enough men for one little girl." That was just, to me, that was just fucking awesome.
Yeah. Andy, where you at?
I would have to say the final battle with X-24.
With all the kids after he tears through the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. In the comics, would an adamantium bullet kill Wolverine?
I don't know if they established
that's been a theme
that in the comics, but that's a callback to X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah, they've made that a thematic thing in the movies. In the comics, they kill Wolverine by coating him in adamantium. Currently, Wolverine is not technically dead in the comics. He is covered in adamantium that they poured on him, molten, and he is now just encased in it. And
so he's Han Solo and Carbonite, basically.
Yeah. Except he needs somebody that can. Yeah, pretty much. Like that's
so
the way I
come
viewed
over
it.
and just like get all the adamantium on him, and he'd be fine.
I don't know if Magneto could do anything about it. Magneto can manipulate the metal, but I don't think he can melt it to get it off of him.
Well,
So
can't he
just,
just
like, pull it
manipulate
off?
it off of it? Yeah. I mean, he pulls it out of his bones.
Right, but I kind of feel like he'd just tear Wolverine to shreds pulling it off, too.
But
Well, he
he
would
could heal
just heal,
that.
right?
Yeah, that's true. Okay, yeah, Magneto could do it if he wanted to, I would think. It's a good question, because I'm not really sure, because you would think molten adamantium would pour onto his skeleton, and it would melt off whatever genetic material of Wolverine is actually there still, and then the adamantium that made up his skeleton would become one with that adamantium that melted onto him. So what is left of Wolverine inside there? Maybe he actually is dead. Who knows?
Because I feel like they had one where he was basically just bones, but he had like a couple skin cells left, and then he like regrew a body from that. I think that happened once.
Yeah, it did.
So, I guess maybe the moltenness could like melt all traces of a skin cell, but then I could guess maybe adamantium bone marrow though could have DNA in it, let him regenerate.
It's true. I mean, they could explain it away however they want it if they want it. When they want to bring them back, they'll explain it.
When
And
Yeah.
we'll see how they do it. Yeah, when they've had enough of their X-23 and Wolverine's costume and they want to bring the real thing back, they'll go there.
next event.
Maybe.
Andy, yeah, the adamantium bullet thing is from X-Men Origins. That was how they tried to kill him in that movie. And all they did was
Okay.
erase his memory.
I tried to erase my memory of that movie, so
Yeah, there you go. So it worked. You forgot that part. Because he definitely gets shot in the head in X-Men Wolverine, or like the Origins Wolverine movie, with an adamantium bullet, but it doesn't blow his head off.
No,
It just goes
but-
in and happens to hit the right part of his brain where he forgets things.
No, that part of the brain. Ugh.
Yeah.
but it's also a different gun, different bullet. Maybe, in the 50-odd years since X-Men Origins Wolverine, they've created a better adamantium bullet.
firearms are more powerful.
Sure.
All right, we'll let that slide. I mean, it's things to poke at. That's not the worst thing.
So is this a continuation of the other Wolverine movies, or are we supposed to forget the other Wolverine movies?
They had told us to forget Origins in the continuity. That had been said before they started First Class and Days of Future Past. And since these movies came out after that, I'm assuming we are supposed to forget them for the Wolverine and Logan. But
so the Wolverine had to have happened to get Logan. Like, that actually is a continuity thing.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, see, we're
You're
still
also
not sure.
supposed to get what X3 we're supposed to forget too, aren't we? In some sense.
That was basically
They told us,
rewritten by
let
Days
go
of
of
Future
that.
Past.
Yeah, like that's what I mean. Like a lot of it was rewritten by Days of Future Past because Wolverine has bone claws in Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
So he hasn't had the adamantium put onto him yet. So are we to assume then that in Days of Future Past he never did, but in Logan he did? And I'm getting too confused now to know what the fuck is up.
The timelines converge. That's what happened, Mike.
All right, let me see if I can get a handle on this before I confuse myself.
Well, didn't he have bone claws in the Wolverine as well?
In Origins he did, not in the Wolverine.
At the end of the Wolverine, he did.
Yeah, at the end of the Wolverine.
Oh yes, yeah.
Which that's the part that we should be focused. Like that's fucked up because, all right, so X-Men Origins Wolverine basically told the story of him getting his adamantium and going berserk and getting loose and all that stuff, which they retell in X-Men Apocalypse, which takes place in the 80s. So in Days of Future Past, when they go back to the 70s, it's before that time that he had the experiment done to him, which is why he doesn't have metal claws yet. Now, the end of the Wolverine, he gets his claws cut off. They grow back as bone claws. They are not adamantium. And yet somehow, in Days of Future Past, which takes place after that, he has metal back on his claws. That's never explained.
Yeah, they converge, Brian. Come on.
I think the closest thing I've heard to that is Bryan Singer basically saying that, well, at some point in the future, they're hanging out with Magneto, so maybe he just gave him adamantium claws back. That's the best they could come up with. So yeah, think about that one for a little while.
Yeah, it's so.
I'd rather not.
Yeah, my head explode.
Yeah. I don't have too much else. You guys have anything else you want to touch on?
I really think those kids, when Logan died, did a really poor job eulogizing him. I think that took away a lot of that moment for me.
I really thought that she was going to say, well, it's by water, like he said for Professor X. But she launched into that whole, like, Western movie she was watching with Professor X.
Yeah.
So,
I loved that she moved the cross and made it an X.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great final shot.
Yeah.
That was the part where it hits you in the feels.
Yeah.
It's like,
it really, that's where I started tearing.
So would you consider this? I think Mike talked about it when we opened, but best Wolverine movie?
Absolutely.
Best X-Men movie?
I mean, this might be the best superhero movie we've had.
Oh. Tall claim.
I would be very surprised if any movie this year surpasses this one.
You mean like for you personally?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, I mean, I really enjoyed this movie. I can see maybe episode 8.
Yeah,
we got time for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of other movies coming this year too, but I mean, I don't know if any of them are going to hit them as well as this one did.
Yeah, there's a solid bet this is going to hit my top 10 of this year.
I was going to say it was not on my top 10 most anticipated, and I'm definitely regretting that because right now it's definitely number 1 so far this year.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
And it's definitely above 2 I've already seen this year. Like, this is above Lego Batman and John Wick 2. So, it's
I think I'd agree.
It's definitely going to be in that top 10.
Would you say it's the best X-Men movie? Would you go for that claim?
It's not even close. Yeah. Days of Future Past is the only one that's even close, and that's not even... It's still not close.
See, I'd have to watch some of these back-to-back, because I still really like X-Men 2.
X-Men 2 was good.
So I'd have to watch that one, and then Logan like almost right after each other, and see which one I really gravitate towards. I definitely think I need to see Logan again, because I've only seen it once. So
Yeah,
I
it was.
I definitely want to go check it out. Just sort of soak it in the second time.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are
Yeah,
very few movies I'd want to see again, but that was one. I would like to see that again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm contemplating Ian's statement about best superhero movie. It's right there.
It really is.
I mean, I'm still. It's right there with The Dark Knight for me.
Same.
Like
It's one or two. It's 1-2. I don't know which yet.
Yeah, because this one plays just like, again, just it's been a lot of compared to The Dark Knight, and the fact that The Dark Knight is a good crime drama with Batman in it, and this is a good Western drama with Wolverine in it.
Yes.
It works on a lot of different levels other than just a superhero comic book movie.
Yeah. I mean, I will be hunting down that Western poster of this movie. I'm going to try and see if Josh has one. I doubt it, but
there's a Western poster of this movie.
You have not seen the Western version of the poster?
No.
Oh my goodness. It is incredible. Awesome? Yes, you need to Google that right now.
What do I Western poster Logan? What?
Sure, that should bring it up. I'm going to have to hunt one of those down, and it might take the place of one of the Star Wars posters for a while.
Just like switch them out every now and again.
Yeah, oh yeah, I told my wife that's my full intent. Like,
it's a drawn picture.
Yeah.
That does look pretty badass.
Yeah. Now that I actually really love the movie, I want the poster. I wanted the poster before just because it looked cool, but now that I really enjoyed the movie, I want it more.
Yeah.
Oh, I would just take the poster with Hugh Jackman's like scarred face on the front too.
Yeah.
I still really like that first simplistic one of just his hand with the claws out and the girl's hand holding his. Yeah. Something about that's just real simple that I really, really like.
I liked several of them. I just personally I tend to go for the more artistic versions.
That's fair.
Things that I like that type. That's just my personal taste.
All right, so I think we hit everything I wanted to. So if you guys got nothing else, we can sort of close this down. Is it worth giving a rating? Should we try to give a rating, or I think it's pretty clear we all really liked it.
I do. I feel like they didn't really flesh out Donald too well.
Yeah. I don't know if they had to, though.
There's not a lot to the character. He's just a mutant-hating prick in the comics. And that's pretty much all there is to him. Like, he's a member of several different groups with the Reavers, the Purifiers, things like that. Basically all just wanting to eradicate mutants.
But I feel like they didn't really explain why he had
I think they did.
The robotic hand?
I think they explained that very well as to why several of them did, because they dealt with X-23 before. Like, that was my take on that, was, they tried to subdue her in the past, and it didn't work.
I feel like that's why he was so, like, afraid of her and stuff, like, of all the confrontations, telling the guys to not shoot and hold back so she doesn't freak out and he loses another arm.
Yeah.
That's a good way to look at it.
I didn't read into that. I see it now, though.
I mean, I think that's one of this movie's big strengths, like we talked about it. The subtleties of the storytelling were excellent.
Yeah, there's not a lot of exposition of just people explaining to you what's happening and why. It's a lot left for you to infer. And it works.
That's also why the second watchings are going to be great for this.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, this screams repeat viewings. Anything else? Nothing.
No, you mentioned something about maybe us rating it, but
I feel like we're gonna get a lot of 10s, like 10 out of 10s. Which, I mean, if we want to rate it, I'm cool with that. We can go around, give it a score out of 10. I think is what we've done in the past. So anybody can start.
10.
Andy?
9.8.
Ooh. What did you need for it to be a 10?
I don't know. There were just a couple of little things that just kind of were irritating, I guess.
Care to
foxing around the corners.
Care to elaborate or no?
I can't remember right now, but there were things when I watched the movie I was kind of like,
Like why? Like Xavier clearly is putting that family in danger by eating dinner there.
that was one of them. And also
Wasn't taking his pills.
The presence of the comic book was cool, but I don't know. It was kind of a mind fuck for me.
It had me, like, the thing with that got me, I was like, man, who has the rights to those? Like, in the universe.
I don't think you see Marvel on that comic anywhere.
They put the Fox logo somewhere on there.
That would have been crazy.
No.
Like, even do the 20th century Fox
20th
logo.
century Fox comic book.
You open the comic book, dun 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 dun. dun.
Yeah.
I mean,
Plays
it's
the
2029.
Yeah, you could totally do that. Ian, you want to give it a rating out of 10?
I'm gonna give it a Dark Knight out of 10.
That means not. I don't know where you're putting it there.
The Dark
I
Knight.
imagine it's high, but I don't know what number that classifies.
It's a 10.
Giving it the Batman voice. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking like 9.5, somewhere in there. It's hard for me to give perfect scores, but it's definitely up there. And I might give it the 10 after maybe I've seen it a couple more times to really soak it in a little bit better. But yeah,
So was
great.
James Mangold, was he the one that did the Wolverine?
correct.
Okay. He did not do Origins.
No.
Thank God. I wonder if he wanted to do the Wolverine, like,
The way it
R-rated.
was done? Oh.
There is
yeah.
an unrated cut of the Wolverine. There's
Yeah, but it's not this.
No.
Like
But-
it. Yeah.
Like the differences are there. Like if you watch the PG-13 cut, at the funeral scene when Wolverine's stabbing people, his claws just go into people like they've done in every other movie. In the unrated version, when he slashes and cuts, you're seeing blood splatter.
Yeah.
And there's a whole cut scene of like the ninja lady that he was rolling around with. She takes a snowblower at the end of the movie and just runs through some ninjas, and it spits them out the other side. That got
What?
completely cut. Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, the whole scene
That
at the
needed
end,
to be
when
cut.
he's getting stuck with arrows and they're holding him in place, she gets like a snowplow or something and just eats people with it.
Yeah, it's reminiscent of like the Deadpool. You're about to get killed by a Zamboni.
Yeah.
Like it. There's a reason that was cut. I think they realized how fucking ridiculous it was.
I don't know, you should watch it. It's
And-
pretty awesome.
No, I've
I
seen
need
it.
to- I
I've
need to
seen
watch
it. It
it
is
now, yeah.
awesome, but it's also ridiculous. Like it didn't fit the movie at that point.
True. Yeah.
So I feel like after this movie, James Mangold is going to be one of the more sought after directors.
Yeah, he was actually, I think back when they did the Wolverine, I think he was a fill-in. So they had somebody else lined up for the Wolverine and they backed out.
But I mean, with the job he did on this, I can't see anybody not wanting him in their.
Yeah, because I even think he was reluctant to come back for this one. I think Hugh convinced him to come back for just one more. And I think when they finally got creative control to basically do what they wanted to do, I think that was a deciding factor too.
He knocked it out of the park.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, some of these shots are just beautiful.
Oh, they're unbelievable. And the fight scenes weren't jumpy. Your shaky cam.
Yeah, there's no shaky cam. The shots were wide so you could see what's going on. Like, that's great. I love when you can appreciate the action that people take time to choreograph and do.
Did anybody else when he took a running start at the fence in the limo and didn't make blowing through the fence? Did anybody else go womp womp? Yeah, because I definitely did womp womp.
I love that the fence was dragging with the car afterwards, and then he was still fucking people up with the fence that he was dragging with him.
Oh yeah, when he destroys like 3 people at once with the fence at one point, it was just like oh.
Oh, that's good shit.
Oh, yes.
All right, so let's. I'm gonna wind it down here. So if you've enjoyed the show, you can please stop by iTunes, leave us a 5-star rating and review, and be sure to share, subscribe, and favorite the show. As always, you can find us on Facebook by searching Bry Guy and Super Friends, or go to www.facebook.com/BryGuySuperFriends. And don't forget, you can now send us questions, comments, topic suggestions, all that good stuff at BryGuySuperFriends@gmail.com or at BGSuperFriends on Twitter. All the above will work. So that's it for our Logan review. Hope you enjoyed. And on behalf of Andy, Ian, Mike, and myself, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you all next time.